So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about giving good service. But one of the places that Mike started, day one, hour one, was working on a definition of good service. What is your definition of good service? And I was thinking about it. Good service to me is X, Y, and Z. But then I was talking to a few other people, and they said good service was A, B, and X. And somebody else had, W, X, and Y. It was amazing the different takes that you can get on it. So what's your definition of good service? You need to take some time and line out what you think good service looks like. If you're having trouble with it, you know what bad service is when it's done to you, right? Say yes. Yes. You know what bad service looks like. When you get to a restaurant and the person doesn't bring you any water or bread right away, and they walk over to you with a little bit of a attitude, what do you want? And your food comes late and it comes cold instead of hot. That's not necessarily good service. But I don't know where the guy comes from. Maybe he thinks it's pretty good service. If you come from outer Mongolia, maybe that's really good service. I don't know. Maybe in Mongolia they don't get food at all. So he figures that if you're getting some food and it's on the table and it's kind of warm and it's a little bit edible, he thinks that's pretty darn good. I don't know. So think about what your definition of good service is. But even going past that, the thing I really wanted to focus in on today is Mike says it's impossible to offer great service without great skills. Write that down. That, to me, was a real blinding flash of the obvious. You know you're supposed to have good skills, and you're supposed to have good service. But it was interesting how he put it together that without great skills, you can't really offer great service. So what I wanted to do is, why do you think great skills are important? Anyone have any thoughts on that? Let's open it up just for a minute or two. Why do you think great skills are important? Go ahead. Great skills give you confidence, and confidence, therefore, helps do a transaction at a little higher level. Okay, good.
They rely on you.
Sorry, 1 second. Go ahead.
They rely on you, so therefore you better provide the 100%.
Okay, so the client's relying on you, so therefore you need to be able to offer and provide good service. Go ahead.
To be better prepared for conditions, possibly and mostly objections, to better lead them towards the desired result.
So one of the answers is to be better prepared, to be able to anticipate, if you will. Okay, issues and situations that might come up. Good. Come on.
With better skills, you're better able to communicate with them effectively.
Okay, with better skills, you're able to better communicate more effectively. Okay, good. So I wrote down a few things. Why are good skills important? So the first thought was to anticipate the customer needs, anticipate the customer's needs, and work to fulfill them before the client asks for them. Fulfill the customer needs, to work to fulfill those needs before the client asks for them. Simple. Maybe the client doesn't know they need to know what the test scores are. Maybe the client doesn't understand the difference in school districts. In our area here in Walnut, there's a distinct difference between the Walnut School District and the Roland School District in terms of pricing, right? If the same house is in the Roland District and the other one's in the Walnut District, there's a little bit of a price difference. Am I right or wrong? Yes. Well, don't you think the client needs to know that? And then you can show those test differences. Now, that may mean something to one person, and it may not mean anything to another person. But you need to know that. That's where a skill, the skill of obtaining information and then being able to communicate it, comes in to hand. How about skill of promptly calling somebody back. Is calling somebody back a skill? Is it? Yes. I think it is. And I think some real estate agents fall flat on that. You know, you get a phone call from a client. You say to the client that you're going to call them back in an hour or two, and then you forget to call back, or the deal, or it drops. Something happens. How does the client feel about you? Good or bad? Bad. They don't feel good about it. How about replying quickly to emails? Now, this is where you need to put an automatic response on your emails. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to figure it out. Because here's what's happening. Here's the dichotomy there. I'm saying good customer service says you need to respond to your emails quickly, right? Say yes. I'm also saying that you cannot check emails in the morning, and you've got to get your morning right. Otherwise, you'll be sitting there responding to emails all day. So you need to create an automatic response that goes on the email that says, I will get back and respond to all my emails by 11 or 11:30. Now, their expectation is what? That you'll answer it, but you won't answer it until a little bit later. 99 and 9/10% of the public are fine with that. The 1% that isn't may not be somebody that you should be working with anyway, because they're going to drag you around by the nose. All right? Think about that. All right, how about arriving on time? Yes. How about arriving on time? Is that a skill? Yes. Absolutely. The skill of working with your schedule in such a way to anticipate the things that might come up before you get there. By the way, make sure that you give yourself enough time when going to an appointment that you have an opportunity to preview the streets around the property. Because good customer service says that you know everything that's going on in the community. That's one of the points that I have about doing business in neighborhoods that you're not that familiar with. And it's one of the reasons why I think it's imperative that every single one of you this year see at least 1,200 homes. That needs to be your goal. 100 houses a month in your communities. And let me throw this thought at you. First of all, let me ask a question. Are all of you going to be in business in the next 5 years? Yes. Yes? Okay, good. All right. So, if that's the case, and we said to you, okay, in every one of your communities, in every one of your zip codes, over the next 12 months, here's what you need to do. Every month, go see 100 houses in that community. If you saw 100 houses in that zip code, whatever zip code that is for you, in the next 30 days, how well would you know that community? Very well. You'd know it pretty darn well, right? And if you did that for 12 months, at the end of 12 months, you would have seen 12 zip codes or 12 different communities, and you would be basically the resident expert on anything and everything that's going on in those areas, where the churches are, where the schools are. You would have done some research, hopefully, and found out what the test scores are. You would have known where the elementary is. You'd have known where the border lines are, where what school district goes here and what school district goes there. You'd learn that over a period of 30 days and for 12 different communities. And since you're going to be in the business 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, that would serve you pretty well, right? Say yes. Yes. When are you going to start? Today. Absolutely. Great answer. I love it. So here's another thought about a skill. Ask a lot of questions. You've got to learn to ask a lot of questions so that they know, so that you know what the client's needs are, so that you don't waste their time when you're either showing them property or listing their house. Does that make sense? Yes. And since you know the market, you won't waste any of their time. Great customer service is not in just bringing the document to them. And it's not just in knowing the answer to a question. Great customer service is being able to save the client time. Write this down. Our job: get the highest price possible in the shortest period of time, or in the client's period of time, with the least amount of aggravation. That's great customer service. That's your job. Highest price possible in that market for today, in the time frame that the client wants it done in, whatever that time frame is, short or long, with the least amount of aggravation, meaning you have to anticipate. Meaning, what did we talk about earlier? It's your responsibility to find out if there's an inspection in that city, what it costs and what it entails. Because that property needs to be inspected if that's a city requirement. That's customer service. That's great customer service, but it starts with you. It starts and ends with you. I wrote down here, product knowledge is an example of good customer service. Product knowledge is an example of good customer service. So, when a client is working with you as a buyer, and they ask about the school districts and how the school district is and how the school district rates in that community, and maybe they ask about where the rapid transit train stops and how far it is from this house, or maybe there's a bus service, the person's going to have to work downtown, or maybe they work east of us here. The client asks that. How well do you know the answer to that question? How well do you know that? Do you think a buyer would consider that information helpful? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you think it would help them determine which agent they're going to work with? So here's a thought. You're out door knocking, because you always are out door knocking and prospecting, right? Say yes. Yes. So you're out doing that this afternoon, and you come across a client who says, wow, I can't believe you're here. How did you know we were thinking about selling our house? I was just talking to my husband last night, and we were talking about the possibility of selling our house. How did you possibly know that? Of course you say, well, you know, that's why I'm out here, I'm doing business, you know, I know these things. So you get the information from the client, and you ask them questions. What are they looking for? What houses are they interested in? And this particular client wants to stay in the same general area, not necessarily the city, but the same general area, and they want to move down. They have equity. They haven't refinanced their house. They're good, solid citizens. Their credit is terrific. They're looking to take advantage of selling their property, which at today's market, but more importantly, buying a property at today's market price, because they feel that prices over the next 10 years are going to go up a little bit, and if they buy a cheaper house, then they're going to have that advantage. This is their thought process. Right or wrong, we're not here to discuss it. That's what they want to do. So you say, great, I have all my information. I will go back to the office. I'll look in the computer. I'll find you some things that you might be interested in, and we're going to go ahead and show you some property. You leave. An hour later, another Great Masters agent comes knocking by and knocks on the door, and the seller says, wow, this is amazing. Yes, we are thinking about selling. And the agent says, great. and they sit down and they start to take some information. We're looking for a 2-bedroom. We're looking for it really nice. It needs to have a tile roof. It needs to be a little bit newer. And you, because you're a great agent, have seen hundreds of homes over the last few months. You say to that person, wow, I have seen an amazing piece of property just last week. I'm not sure if it's available, but I can call the agent in a minute and find out. It's spectacular. It has most of the things you just asked for and some things that I think you're going to find exciting. And what I'd like to do is set a time with you. Would 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock be better so I could show you this property? Now let me ask you a question. Which agent, the agent who had to go back and study the MLS, or the agent who knew the marketplace and had a couple of properties that might be exciting, sounded excited about the properties, and immediately set the appointment to go show the property? Which agent do you think, if everything else was equal, do you think that seller, who will be a buyer, will probably be inclined to work with? The second one, right? And yet, we go out and we don't do the previewing on a daily basis, because sometimes, not this group, because I know you guys all do that, right? Say yes. Okay, good. All right. Just checking. You need to be that agent. When you run into those opportunities, they're out there. But you have to have it with excitement. You have to have it with enthusiasm. And you can't do that if you haven't previewed property. The skill of previewing property, of knowing the market, of asking questions of the client is critical. You need to start working on the question game. Write that down. You need to start working the question game. The question game is very simple. You work with a partner, an accountability partner, and for the next 5 or 10 minutes, you keep asking questions of each other. You just go back and forth. You ask a question, they answer it, and then ask you a question. You answer that question, ask them another question. You will then learn and build the muscle of, if you will, of learning how to ask questions. It's a skill. It's a talent. Attorneys, talk show hosts, great real estate agents get paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars because they know how to ask questions. They MMFI, they make the people feel important. Make me feel important. You do that by asking questions. I wrote down here, Earl Nightingale, we said, we become what we think about. He also said, thinking without action accomplishes nothing. Thinking, I want to do it, I think I should do it, but not taking action accomplishes nothing. I wrote down here, today matters. Today matters. What you will do today matters. The question I wrote down here is, what actions will you take today to move yourself forward? January, ladies and gentlemen, is over. January is over. 1/12 of the year of 2012 is in the history books. Now, it's interesting because we spent time working on our business plans. We had a whole seminar on it. We talked about it. We worked on it. We spent time working on our business plans. Here's my question. Is it done? And have you sent the plan to your coach to be reviewed? Is it done? And have you sent your plan for your coach to review it? I wrote down here, we spent time working on our schedules this month. We spent a lot of time working on our schedules individually and as a group. And remember, the schedule's the foundation. It's what we're going to do daily on a weekly, monthly basis to get things done. So I wrote down here, have you completed your schedule for the next 90 days? Is it written out? Is it lined out? Have you sent it to your coach? We went on a 3-day retreat 3 intense days with Mike. Very intense, very focused. We started at 9 in the morning. We went all the way till 4 in the afternoon. And we went till 4 in the afternoon even on the last day. That's how focused and intense he wanted to make it for us. What have you put into action so far from that event? Called your clients, started calling past client and sphere, putting everybody on your emails, sending those emails out. What actions have you done? I wrote down here, remember, no shame in not hitting your goals. There is no shame in not hitting your goals. The shame comes from not doing the activities that need to get done to achieve those goals. That's where the shame comes. Not in not hitting the goal, but in not doing the activity to hit the goal. We need to take action now in order to make 2012 your best year yet. Now let's go out and make it happen. Thank you.